First, I'd like to just let everybody know this meeting is being taped for current and future use by WCTV. And any public comments, as always, will have a 3-minute cap on them. We'll start off with the roll call. John Doherty is excused. Mary Ann Galezzo.
Here.
Chris Diorio.
Here.
Brad Jackson.
Here.
Andy Levine.
Here.
Joe Levino.
Here.
Anthony Nelson.
Here.
Scott Neville.
Here.
Teresa Manganelli, here. Okay, so starting up tonight will be our Veterans Service. Mr. Lou Semaglia. Wow.
I want to thank you all. You don't know how happy I am to be here tonight. And
I want to
only
thank you
tonight.
because we never hear clapping in a Finance Committee meeting.
And only tonight.
Welcome.
Thank you. Our budget is pretty straightforward, as usual. The increases are contractual agreements or salary. We did go up on office supplies because we added $750 a year for the branch flags that are on the common. All the branch flags, we have to replace those at least twice a year. We do get them donated from time to time. And that's why that's in there. The assistance for veterans is level funded at $200,000. As you can see, in the last few years, we haven't spent all of that, but because of the HERO Act, it opened up the door to veterans that were not really eligible for state assistance that are now eligible now. And we've actually picked up 2 clients because of that.
Okay.
So that is the Chapter 115 benefits. And I think that's about it. I gave you my the letter that I sent to the town manager. And just to let you know, as far as VA money coming into the town, this is money that's coming to veterans and their dependents in the town from the VA. It's not coming right to the town, but it is over $685,000 a month coming into the town.
Really?
To residents of town of Wilmington, either the widows of veterans that have passed due to a service-connected disease or disability, or the disability going to the veterans, or pensions, or non-service connected pensions.
Do you know roughly how many veterans we do have in Wilmington?
It's over 2,000
Okay.
right now by the census, but I know for a fact a lot of Vietnam guys never checked that they were veterans on the census. But the newer guys coming home, it's over 2,000 right now.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Pretty straightforward. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Lou.
You came with your own fan clubs.
Do you want to stay longer?
No.
Then get the hell out.
You're forcing them out. All right.
Thank you, Lou.
Made the sale.
Never sell after.
Thank you, Lou.
All right, thank you.
And thank you to your group.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we got the timer on you, Terry. Let's see if you can.
Sorry, I'm very sorry, but that will not work for me.
Try.
And
I'll
now,
try though. I feel the
now we'll
pressure.
welcome Terry Marciello, the Director of the Elderly Services. Welcome, Terry.
Hi, Terry. Hey, Terry. Thank you.
The budget is on page 56.
Yep. So I'm passing out a little bit of history.
Thank you.
And a little bit of the future with it on the back.
Awesome. Thank you.
You kind of probably think it's funny that we're actually, I'm giving you a card with the old senior center and then with information for our open house. But people are very concerned as to, oh my gosh, we can't see the town, we can't see the senior center anymore with the new town hall. And I said, no, don't worry, we'll get something for you to have. So that's what, stimulated us to use these as something that they can have from the old place.
It's a beautiful picture.
So for the budget, excuse me, I have a piece of candy. I didn't think Lou would be that quick. I didn't even get to finish a lifesaver, for goodness sakes. So the budget this year. Well, we're very excited. First of all, there's a lot going on for the department right now. If you hadn't noticed, or if you don't know, of course, this group knows very well because you are so supportive to us in with the new senior center. So there really isn't a lot to change on this budget, as you see. Not really. We're keeping things pretty much the same. If you can see some of the lunch money, if you look at on the page 56 for our budget, that even though there's more money going into contractual services, the lunch money program services costs went down. And the reason for that is just overall, some of our drivers that we've been having, they receive $26 a stipend, and then they have mileage. But some of our drivers right now are retired, and they just want to make sure that it doesn't interfere with any of their other things that they're receiving as part of their retirement. So they're truly doing as volunteer, but they are getting paid for mileage. Also, with the fact for some vacation times, there are some period like that. There seems to be more holiday per se that has with a meal not being delivered at that point. So it kind of works out that we can actually lower that a bit. So that's why you're seeing that. But for the contractual piece, those are services that for our social events, for educational events, that go throughout the year. That's the piece that covers that. I did write up in the summary, a lot of our programming, all of our programming as an exercise programming, our art teacher, ceramics instructor, all that, those funds are actually covered through the Executive Office of Elder Affairs. Actually, they've changed their name now to AGE, but there's a fund, it's called a formula grant that we receive from the state, where they take the census of the elders, which right now, for the census that was done in 2020, they registered 6,014 elders. There was a bit of a little concern for that as to if everyone really filled out the census, because there was a little bit of a higher number of that internal census that changed a bit, but that's the number that they're going to be going by for the next 10 years when it comes time to figuring out any grants for the town, actually for any municipalities. So that funding is a little over $72,000, but we'd probably be getting, that was $14 an elder, and now it's going to be going to $15 an elder. That money is paying, like I said, paying for all of our classes, which is approximately 15 classes. It's paying for half of our newsletter and the monthly newsletter that goes out and for the postage and which has gone up. Has anyone that does anything like that? Has gone up tremendously. It also helps with the postage we do birthday cards for anyone over the age of 80. And that's to make sure that we can reach out and connect with anyone and actually end up with quite a few calls saying thank you and I can't believe you remembered me and how can I get to the senior center. So it works out very nicely. That also pays for like the My Senior Center computer program that we use for people to check in. And it says what activities they're going to be doing for the day. It kind of gives us an outlook as to how many people are coming during the week and what activities are the most popular. So it's a wonderful system, and it's every year there's the program needs to be updated, and there's a charge for that, but that is covered through this grant, so we don't have to worry about the town paying for that either. So the change that I would love to be able to see is, so yes, we have a new senior center. And you were very courteous and nice to us last year when we asked for the program coordinator. That program coordinator got hired this year, and she's actually started in January. God bless you. And has been a wonderful, wonderful addition to our department. And talk about perfect timing. She started in January, we're moving here. Right now we're moving, we're in the building right now for February, and she's already done some great programming for us. We also have an elder, how do we say her? Elder coordinator. That's the person that, when people are coming in, she checks them in, she's kind of a jack of all trades, keeping everything going into the front office, making sure that people feel comfortable when they're walking in, kind of getting a vibe from them. And that position was covered half by the town and half by that grant that I was just speaking of. All of her benefits were for the town. The town has taken care of that because she was working full-time. The goal this year, the hope that I have for this year, is that approximately a little over 23,000, close to, before the final numbers of the salary, at that point it was $23,106, but it's a little more than that right now. That to be taken out of the grant, actually asked if that could be put into the town budget. So that money, roughly $24,000, my hope is to be able to have 2 people to work 15 hours a week to work in the kitchen. They are actually they're actually retired women that have stepped forward. They really want to be a part of helping us, and so instead of hiring, we're kind of going to be going through a little bit of a growing piece right now. It's so hard to say what is the need for the new senior center when we really need to be in there, get active, and see what's going on. But I already do know, of course, we want to start using that kitchen. On March 3rd, there's 4 of us that are going through Surf Safe, Serve Safe, not Surf, to be able to get certified to be able to serve food and prepare food in that kitchen. And that's staff currently, like myself, I want myself, the case manager, who also is so supportive, and then having 2 other people. And the reason for that is to be able to serve, hopefully we want to be able to serve a lunch twice a week, starting probably in a couple of months, to be able to have people get a feel for that whole function area. The beautiful, beautiful hall that can fit over 200 people. So when we do have events, though, we're still large events. Put this aside for a minute, just because I can already kind of read some of your minds. So how the heck are you going to serve for all those people? No. For our large events, we will be still doing catering to come in, and they can put them in the warmers, and then we can serve the food. But I'm talking for a smaller number to be able to prepare food for, starting a couple times a week again in the next couple of months. And then to do that, having this person be paid a stipend of the minimum wage cost, and again for 15 hours, so it's under the hours of having to do any benefits, but actually is a huge benefit to our kitchen program. So that is why I was hoping and asking that if we can take that take half that salary that is already being used through our grant, put it onto the town, to making that town paying a full-time position. So instead of it being half-time, part-time that you're paying, being a full-time, and then that money being used for any additional needs for the center. When I say additional, right now we're doing these classes, the exercise classes. The goal and the reason for the new senior center is that we couldn't do the potential that we wanted to for exercise, because for the large room was also used for every other activity, so I would have to cancel. We couldn't do an exercise, say, throughout the whole day because the room had to be used for other things. Now, in this new senior center, that exercise room can be used on a regular, just be used continually. And I would love to be able to use that grant money to be able to pay for these teachers and additional classes, which would benefit so many. And kind of expand our programming for the center. So that's the thought that I had. Don't know if that's a good thought. You can let me know.
Can I just interrupt you?
Yep.
Have you talked to the town manager
Yes,
about that? Okay.
yes, yes.
I'm confused. Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm confused as well.
I'm confused because.
Go ahead, Chris.
You can only spend $1 once.
Yep,
So whether it's grant money or town money,
Yep.
I'm unclear what you're asking for. And whether you use grant money or town money, I personally don't care. What are you asking the town for? I think it's $24,000.
Yes.
And is that in the budget for 2025, or are you proposing it for 2026?
I believe it was in budget 2026.
26, but you want to start it now?
No,
Oh, so you, next year?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So-
she'll start July for
So you're
this
asking
budget.
for 24 grand
Yep,
in extra salary so you can hire 2 part-time kitchen people?
no, I'm not asking for, yeah, that's taking that 23,000.
It's a grant or it's money, wherever it is, you can only spend that dollar once. So if you're gonna use grant money to pay for these people and now you want the town to pay for something else, you still want $24,000 from the town.
Yes,
Okay, so 24,000 extra, which is fine, I'm not suggesting
yeah,
that's,
yeah.
but I'm confused when you say you're gonna move grant money here and pay. The bottom line is you need $24,000 more so that you can hire 2 part-time people to work in the kitchen.
bingo,
Okay,
Okay, is
I
that
think I
in
got
this
it.
budget?
yes.
Is that in the recommended budget?
Okay.
So it's in the other full, but it says other full-time, or where is that,
Where is it?
where is the money, the 24,000?
So the 24,000 is in the other full-time positions.
Okay.
Those 2 additional positions are not in the budget because they're
No.
funded by a grant.
Right.
so it's really, yeah,
They're not in the budget?
Well, they're gonna
No,
be-
the 2 part-time,
2 part-time.
no, that would be covered by
They
the
should still
grant.
be in there and then just have,
No,
No,
not
Hang on.
grant money.
it's covered by the grant.
I think this
What's
other
cons-
full-time would go up 40 to 40 something, right? Right now, it's going up 22,000,
right.
which?
so it's gonna go up to 44, right?
Yeah, I'm confused because the whole salary line, 358 to 387, is only going up by 22,000, and you need 24,000 for this extra 2 people. So the math
No, we're
doesn't work.
not doing the extra 2 people on this. We're not, that those 2 people are part of the grant. We're just doing that. I totally confused you, and I apologize. Okay.
Can I just
Yes,
try to
please.
clarify real quick? Yeah, so, the 387 in total personnel services includes an increase in the amount that we're paying for what's the title again?
The elder
The
coordinator.
adult coordinator that's formerly covered by the grant. That frees up that money to be
Hey,
able
okay.
to spend it on something else, and which would be those 2 extra positions.
Okay,
Asking
I'm sorry, go
for
ahead.
$24,000 for extra salary, that math doesn't work, because 359 and 24 is 370, I don't think that math works, does it?
There's about $30,000 in extra salary
358.
in the numbers there.
920 plus
Yes.
24,000 is
28,
382,
Take out
920,
the-
so it's only 5,000 in raises for the rest of the staff?
I think it's because I think there was a
It's like 1.25%.
I think there was because of new positions that dropped the staff.
Oh, okay.
turnover.
All right. So again, the same thing where we had people at high levels, down at low level. Okay. All right. So as long as the math works, that's what it. Okay.
I just
I get it
feel, I'm sorry, are you finished?
Yo, I think so.
Okay. Sorry about
All
that.
right. No, it's okay.
So you're saying full-time, this is something that we go through with many departments.
Yep.
When we see the budget, that you know what's behind every number,
Yep.
but sometimes we have the same questions, and we just ask them to put a notation on here, which you did do. But this notation should also indicate that you have 2 part-time people covered under the grant,
Proposed part-time people.
proposed. Yeah, that should be listed on here, because otherwise, the confusion that we all kind of felt just looking at it, we need you to help us understand the numbers.
So just for
So-
future, to help me future-wise, where would you like, when you say that you'd like to see that, where?
Well, you already
Maybe
put,
ask
a
her.
portion of the salary will be
Okay.
paid via grant funding.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
And-
think it
and
as a
that-
line item.
Yes.
I
If
agree.
it showed up and said it would be 150, we get 20 from this grant, so it's only going to be 130 or whatever the, you know.
Elder is in.
And
Yeah.
maybe a line item that says part-time like we have in other,
Right.
right?
I don't
others.
think anyone's questioning
Yeah.
the request. I think it's
Right.
clarification, right?
You need to,
Nope,
you
I
need to break
understand.
out the salary a little bit more so that we can get a better picture of exactly who is on your payroll,
Yep.
okay? Not that we have any problem with it, it's
Oh,
just.
no, I totally understand. I totally understand.
Madam Chair,
Um,
I think we have that in this book on page 31.
Right, we
But that
do.
number doesn't match this number. The number on this book that lists everybody's salary comes up to a total of 411,185, and this says 387,445. So I'm confused again.
So,
Did you take some of the grant money already out of the salaries?
I'm okay.
No, I totally believe you.
Page
I'll double,
31,
so I'm gonna have to double check on that.
411,185 versus 387,445. And I would like to know how much grant funding is being covered, how much grant funding is going towards those salaries. So
Right.
maybe it's 411 is what we're gonna pay, and there's 387 is what's left because we're gonna pay
Right.
33,000 out of grants?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't, but I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what we're trying to get to, that we need
Is that
to
what's happening?
formulate a
I
better
don't know.
understanding.
all right, so can we start over a little bit?
If you want to,
Just
sure.
have you under. So, I think, Chris, you said it the best, as in, I was asking for the elder coordinator,
Yeah,
instead of her being a part-time, seen in the part being paid by the town. She's a full-time employee, but she's getting part paid by the town and part paid by the grant. I would see it beneficial that she would be totally paid by the town, seeing as she's already, that position is already receiving benefits. So it wouldn't hit that way any additional money for the town. But having that position being a total town position, being paid, that salary
okay.
being paid. So that that money could be then used for additional programming and for the aid in the kitchen.
Okay. So that makes sense. We just need to memorialize it
Absolutely. No,
on your budget.
I need to clarify the distinction between what Mr. Giorgio was looking at and what's in the budget book.
I'm guessing it's the grant funding, but
I
I'd
think
like
it is
to
too,
know-
but I-
if we
So
can
there's a
confirm that.
footnote down the bottom.
Yeah.
It just says
it-
a portion of the salary
Yeah.
covered by the
Yeah.
grant, but it doesn't say the amount, so I just
No.
would like to
But I-
verify that the numbers match up and.
I'll check on that and I'll bring back a clarification if that's okay on
Perfect.
That'd be
Thursday.
perfect, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
That's okay with folks.
So for this grant, so a lot of the grants that we get, we'll get the money the next year, like we pay for it and then it comes back the next year. Where they've already said we have 614 elders in town and it's gonna be next year $15 per elder. Do we get that money during next fiscal year, or will that come the year after? Do you
During
know?
the fiscal year.
It does, okay.
Yep, during
Because,
the
yeah,
fiscal year.
like some of the other things that are paid with grants, like we have them in here, but we don't get the money until the next year, so it's,
Nope, it will be during the fiscal
okay,
year.
perfect.
This year was like quarterly, they gave a sum in the beginning, well, a sum like in September, and then they gave it towards the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Terry, I have a question about serving lunch.
Yep.
I'm assuming that there'll be a cost for somebody to buy a lunch.
At this time, no, there will not be.
Okay. So,
So how are we gonna do that, right?
yes.
So for the lunch piece, well, I shouldn't say that. I should say in the beginning, there will not be a charge. My feeling on that is I feel that we have, again, going through the growing piece, I do have some funds that can be used. I had the grant from the Lowell 5 that we received last year, and that was to do the, we gave fruit out, and we had like a soup once a month. That I still have quite a bit of funding in there. Out of the $5,000, I have a little more than half, so that I can get things started, and using that funds, it can get things started for that soup, and get things started for that lunch. It's not gonna be a large lunch, it's not gonna be like a roasted chicken, it's gonna be like a soup, sandwich, salad type thing, or something on that scale, so that we can work out with the money from that grant, from Lowell 5.
Okay, but you don't expect that to last an entire year?
No. Again, I'm really trying to work at that. If there is gonna be a cost, it would be a minimal cost.
Right.
It would be a minimal cost. So now, you bring up a great thing, Teresa, in the sense that now that we have a kitchen, a commercial kitchen, there are some grants that I plan on going after to be able to, right now with this population, people are seeing this population being, feeling in need, and with some changes that are occurring right now, that need could be stronger, and I think we can make there's several grants that I plan to go after to support that kitchen. So
Okay.
that's not a hurt to the town or to the people having to pay for a meal, that we can make that meal.
Okay.
Okay. Are those grants affected by the MBTA zoning issue?
I'm trying to go after private companies, with private companies. Yes, very good question.
Anybody else? So if you haven't had an opportunity to visit our beautiful new senior center, I strongly suggest just coming by on Friday if you have the time, or you'll be there starting Monday, full-time, correct?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we have been there, so just to share that, you can come on Friday, and then next Tuesday through Friday, next week, we're doing tours, constant tours, and we're having fun events in the afternoon, just for people to get acquainted with the building, and then the following week, things are starting full throttle again.
Yeah.
So,
That's
It's a
exciting.
tremendous,
oh, it's so exciting.
tremendous
So exciting.
job. It's really gorgeous, and I think you'll all benefit, even if, obviously, I'm the only one here of age,
Holding
but
at the
it's
meeting,
good, it's good.
60.
It's nice of you to say you're the only one.
I appreciate it
It's
too.
good to be able to see that.
Youngster.
All right, guys, just be quiet. I'm trying to help you out.
So, yeah, you
I'm
can feel free
proud.
to come use the pickleball courts or bocce, or 2 billiard tables that are legal size,
Yeah.
regulation size, so it's a pretty awesome place.
Andy?
Can I just, I want to clear up, because I did the math, so I think I know what's going on here, because I got right back to this number that's in the book, if I can. The pink book says oh boy,
411.
411, yeah, I need my
Yep.
glasses. 411, 185, and then you have the Elder Services Coordinator, which is, half of which is grant funded,
Correct.
right? So when I back that out of the 411, I get to your 387, 445. Okay, so that's how we get there. I think what we need is probably this footnote should say half of the elder coordinator, so we have that specific detail, right? So we know. And then I think, and this is just suggestion, we should probably have another line item that says part-time equals this, this is how much we're asking for. Here's what the 5 full-time are year over year. So that way we're not clumping it together. Right? And I think
Yep.
that solves our question.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, the more information, the better
Yep.
on this, because it's such a nice little budget, but
Yep.
then if you look at it, you might spend some time trying to figure out one number. So just get that into a better format next year, and it'll be great.
Wonderful, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Nice job.
And thank you for your support last year to make this year work.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck
with the
on
new
Friday.
building.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now we have Recreation Department, Brett Sawin.
Evening, everybody.
Budget's
how are
on
you?
page 55. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. How's everyone doing?
Great.
Good, how are you?
Very good. Very good. So yeah, I'll just open up. The goal of the rec department, as always, offer high-quality, relevant programs and services to the town at extremely affordable cost, and I think we continue to do that year after year. And you know, if you look at our budget, it's not a gigantic ask, but I think we're able to do a lot with it. If you'll look at page 55, most of it is under personnel services for the director position. And then there's 2 other full-time employees with me in the office, Marilyn Manos, who's our senior clerk, and her salary is covered in the budget. And then Brianna Harrison, in the footnote down there, she is covered by the revolving fund, which all our profit goes into to cover her salary and a bunch of other things as well. Other things to note that we're asking for this year, under training and conference, we're just asking for a small increase of $300. That's really to stay in line with the state conference that we attend each year in the month of March. It's coming up for this year. So just a small increase there. And then the other increase under program supplies for $1,000, and that money is to help offset the beach. We all know that the beach takes a substantial loss each year for our staff, as the only income is for $10 daily payments by non-residents. So it does take a loss, but all our other programs are able to cover that, as well as the program coordinator. Those are the 2 main things that all our programs and trips go towards each year. I've got other numbers, but I know, you know, I've done PowerPoints in the past. I heard that you guys wanted to keep it short this year, so I tried to keep it as short as possible, but if anyone has any questions about...
I just have a very quick
Sure.
question on the increase in office and printing supplies
Yes.
from 2024. I know it's not a lot of money, but can you just
Yep.
let us know what
2024
happened there?
Yep, 24 to 25, yep. So we started printing the newsletter in-house, so most of that goes to the paper that we print on in the office.
What do you currently have in your revolving fund?
Yep. As of today, and I checked this afternoon, it is 827,000. I do have somewhat of a breakdown over the next, I would call it, year of expected expenses, if you'd like to hear that as well.
Just the bottom line after you subtract everything.
Yep. I'd say it's roughly 500,000. And obviously that number fluctuates, you know, month to month.
What do you, I think I asked this last year, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll lead with that. I do that a lot. I lead with I'm sorry. What do we have that kind of a $500,000 coffer for? Like,
Brett can answer, but I can answer if you want me to.
Yeah, you know, sometimes we help support projects around town. We've resurfaced courts. We've done that over at the Shawsheen. We had plans to do that at the North in FY26, but now with the school project coming up, that's obviously at least on pause. So don't know if you want to add anything.
No, I mean,
but-
it's to support capital projects on recreation spaces.
Recreational.
That are
Pickleball
being
courts.
used by these programs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the pickleball courts are paid for out of the rec funds.
Mhm.
We want to keep a healthy balance in there because it is supporting the beach, and I think that's an amenity we don't want to risk not having the funds to support. But when there's appropriate projects in recreation space, we'll look to either the recreation fund itself or in combination with capital funds at DPW to rehab fields or to create new recreation space.
And we know those aren't cheap.
What did you say, the pickleball courts out here were like 100? Between
I
80 and
believe,
100?
yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, like
That was-
80,000 or
Yeah,
something.
they were built before I started here, but I
Yeah.
think I've heard 80.
It's less than I would have thought, actually.
And the ones over at the senior center were more expensive than that. and
Yeah.
they're new.
Also 4 courts over at the senior center, 3 out here.
So,
How is your membership as far as for all the programs? Are you
Yeah.
pretty much full or?
Yeah, we had a really good year. I looked at these numbers this afternoon. Total registrations, and this is calendar year 2024, we had close to 4,900. That's up roughly 800 from 2023.
Wow.
So we had a really good year.
20%.
What do you think was driving that? Was it the big trips?
Printing.
We had some really successful week-long trips.
Yeah.
The two to note, we did Mackinac Island in Chicago, as well as a little bit of Detroit. And then the big one last year was a river cruise in France, where they started in Paris and made their way out to Normandy. That sold out within a week, I believe. This coming year, we already have our 2 week-long trips set and they are sold out. We're going to Italy in May, to Tuscany and Florence, and then in the fall, we're doing the music cities. So we're doing New Orleans, Memphis, and Nashville. That one sold out within 3 days, which Italy took a little bit longer, surprisingly. I thought Italy would have gone faster, but really happy with the week-long trips and starting to work on a shorter one for sometime in the fall, like a 2 or 3 night type trip. We did that last year. We did a Mount Washington getaway for 2 nights. So looking at another kind of bus trip getaway. Then we have a number of day trips as well. Personally, last year, I think the favorite was we went up to Burlington, Vermont for the eclipse, where we saw it at totality, which was really cool, kind of a once-in-a-lifetime type trip. Nobody complained about the 8-hour bus ride home, believe it or not. We pulled in right at midnight to the Wildwood School, so I joked that it turned into an overnight. But that was definitely one of the highlights last year, so.
Awesome.
Any other questions from
And
anybody?
those trips are all paid for by the consumer, right?
Correct, yep.
And there is an additional charge if somebody is from out of town that wants to go on.
There is, yep.
It's very minimal, though.
It is minimal, yep. It's $10 for a trip, it's $5 for a program. So we keep it reasonable, but if you look at our trips, it's roughly 50-50. I don't know if we would sell out on a week-long trip if it was in town only, so
So how many people will go on the trip to Italy, for instance?
we have 52.
Okay.
So we keep it to 1 bus. I was,
It's a long bus ride to Italy.
Well, okay, I say bus, obviously not a bus to Italy, but I was taught by my predecessor, Karen. They used to do 2 buses on some trips, and I know there was one famously where one bus broke down and the other one kept going. That bus had to wait a little while. So
Coming from New York City.
I think they were out west on that one. I think it was in Colorado
You had to
somewhere.
break down on coming home
Okay.
from New York City.
So it was drilled into me, 1 bus, 1 experience, whether it's good or bad for everybody.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. You don't want to be on the bus that's left behind for
Yeah.
me.
No.
So, yeah,
Okay. Well, sounds like everything is going great.
everything's going well. I'm sure everyone in town is waiting for our release of the newsletter. We sent out an email on Friday to give people a heads up. Playground and Tiny Tots registration starts sometime this week. I know there's only 3 days left in the week. We are hard at work, and new this year, we're going to do online registration, which a lot of people have asked for.
Wow.
I hope it doesn't crash the system.
I don't think it will. So, playground program sold out in 2 office days last year. It was all in person. I expect it to go faster this year since everyone will have access from wherever they are. So if you are watching this, please pay attention to your email. We'll notify everyone when it goes out live. And good luck to everybody registering.
Teresa, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So, what drives a need for additional staff potentially? Like, are we driving down a path where that's coming because of, is it membership? Is it programs? What would?
I would say potentially a few years down the road, possibly. Bree, who's our program coordinator, she's done a great job adding new programs. We had a lot of new summer programs last year. Just a couple to mention, we added a sports program, so playground ends at 1 p.m. We added a sports program through a vendor from 1 to 4 p.m. for people looking for additional coverage throughout the day. We don't get access to schools starting in August because Public Buildings is getting them ready for the school year. We had a sports program over at Yentile for, it was either 3 or 4 weeks in August from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. for full day coverage once Playground and Tiny Tots ends. So she did a really nice job adding programs this year, and she continues to do so. Just another thing to mention that we're really proud of, we added some adaptive programming this past year. So we had an adaptive cooking class and an art class. We're looking to do more things, but obviously as we keep adding things, we may need additional staff down the line.
Thank you.
But we're not there quite yet, I would say.
So what's the limiting factor that causes us to put whatever limit we put on Tiny Tots? And, I mean, is it staff?
Number of kids who you're talking about?
How do you set that number and why? Is it because
Yeah.
just the span of control for a staff?
Yeah, so
or
we
is
try
it
to
a
maintain,
facility
like Tiny Tots
limitation?
specifically, we
Yeah.
try to maintain a 14-to-1 ratio. And we don't like to call them classrooms, but they're obviously in classrooms because it's not school. We try not to use that word, but we try to maintain 14-to-1. So we have a lead instructor in each room and an assistant. So we have roughly 28 kids in a classroom. We also have a number of high school volunteers that assist the program. But I'd say beyond that, because we're in the Boutwell over at Tiny Tots, which is the same as this building, having more than 28 kids in a room just doesn't make it a conducive environment, a fun environment, I would say.
So if you had used a different building, you might be able to expand.
I would say
I mean,
so.
When I hear an unmet demand, I'm sure like you know, like, well, how do I meet that demand?
Right. Bigger space would definitely help. You know, I've expressed.
Well, maybe when this is empty, we can make a satellite program here.
I have expressed interest in the two. I'm getting a look.
That was I was not coached, I promise you. I think it's something, you know, it's kind of historic in Wilmington that there's this stress period for parents to try to get their kids into Tiny Tots.
Yeah.
And to me, that's an opportunity for us to meet the needs of our community better. At, frankly, no cost to the taxpayers because it's covered by fees. So, you know, I bring it up not as a criticism, but as a recognition of an opportunity. It's something we can keep in front of mind because we're not, I mean, much like we recognize we weren't meeting the needs of our seniors with the facility they had, you know, we're not meeting the needs of families with youngsters who have needs in the summer, who want some programming. Great opportunity. So that's my only reason for asking. Thank you.
I agree with you, Brad, because when my kids were going through the programs, most of the parents were home. And you were putting them in Tiny Tots to give them some activity during the summer. But if you didn't get in, it would be disappointing, but it wouldn't be catastrophic because you weren't dealing with an employer. Things have changed dramatically, and now people are looking for these types of things to begin and end on more on a workday type of thing and be easier to access. So I agree with Brad. I mean, hopefully, at some point in the near future, something will give that will allow you to do that. And I have faith that you'll figure it out because you seem to do everything else so well. And
Thank you.
you know. All right. Anybody else?
I just want to make a general comment, if I could. The three departments we heard from tonight have a total budget just over $1 million. And the services they provide our community is outstanding. And I'm
Yeah.
kind of embarrassed to sit here and ask you questions when you have a budget of, I don't know, I've turned the page already, but what was it,
$155.
$155,000, and all the things you do, trips to Italy, and I mean, and what they do with the senior center and veteran services. We as a community should thank you and do thank you for the work you do, the services you provide, and it doesn't mean your budget shouldn't get scrutiny, but it also should come with some appreciation for the work you do, because this is what you call a bang for your buck.
Yeah, totally.
Well said, Brett.
Everybody?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Brett. It was nice to see you.
Nice
Good to see you,
too.
Brett.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay. And if I could just do the minutes before. Sure. Okay, because it'll only take a second. We do have some minutes for approval, to the January 28th meeting.
Motion to accept the minutes from January 28th.
Do we have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
I can't remember. Was that the one I was sick from?
No.
No, you were there for that one.
Okay.
That was the first one we had this year.
Hi.
Unanimous.
I didn't want to get in trouble for voting when I wasn't supposed to.
You can't vote. Okay. So now, Mr. Slagle would just like to update us with some information from the tech.
Thank you very much. Yes, I wanted to, when I first came to you, and we talked about the overall budget, I talked about some of the stress points that would affect or could affect the budget going forward. And one of those was Shaw Teen Tech's budget, because we didn't have that. Their timeline does not work necessarily with ours. So that being said, I did have a chance to meet with the superintendent and sit down and have his budget. And we had budgeted $7,865,364 for our assessment. And I was off by about $4,500. So
Wow.
in the right direction too. It's actually $7,860,878.
We
So
need to be showing off here.
Yeah.
that's the whole reason I wanted to say this.
Now set a level of expectation.
Yeah, well, maybe I shouldn't have said anything then. So I do want to give credit to the tech. They were coming in very low on their budgeting. Their total budget increase is less than 4%. It's in the threes. This is impacted by our enrollment, as these things often are. Our enrollment last year was 318 at the tech. This year it's 302. So that drop in enrollment meant our increase was just short of 4%. To let you know kind of what across the district. So Bedford's increase was 20%. I think Burlington's was almost 10, and then Billerica and Tewksbury, I think, were right around just short of 6%. So we came in just short of 4%. I think that's not something that we can control necessarily every year. But as part of this, I think it's important to mention, not just to you folks, because you all know this, but to the people who are watching at home, that the one of the major driving forces in our Shawshene Tech budget is the enrollment. So if more Wilmington kids get in a particular year, that's going to drive an increase in our assessment, and it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a real thing that assessment can change based on influences outside of the control of anybody in Wilmington or our budgeting process. It does look, just so folks are aware, the senior class currently at the Tech has 97 Wilmington students. The sophomore class now at the Tech has 50 Wilmington students. So even within 2 years' time, there's a spread of almost 100% change. That happens. I think we have we, like every other town, have a baseline of students that are allowed to get into the Tech. They've stopped accepting out-of-district students, like a lot of Techs have back in the day. Techs would get money from out-of-district students, but it's become much more popular in the past 10 years or so. And so we're likely to see a bit of a fluctuation come that 50 year, because when those kids go out, we're likely to see a class come in that's going to be more than 50, and we're going to see an increase in enrollment. It's going to cause a bump, but that's about 3 years down the line. So I just want to let you know that that's not going to be anything that's going to blow up our budget projections. So we should be okay based on that Tech budget.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Fast math, that's about 22,000 per student, 7,300,000 and something. How does that compare to what Wilmington's costs are for school?
That's a good question. I don't know what their
And we're going
costs
to get
are.
to the school budgets later. I didn't look at it. I'm just wondering if.
Yeah, I don't know what their costs are per student. I think that is a very low cost per student.
Yeah, it's
On
actually, it's got to be higher than that. 20, I don't think, 22 is a small number.
7 million.
7,860,000.
7,860,000 divided by.
302.
Oh, 302. I think I was, yeah. 26 per student. 26,02650.
That's about right.
Okay, so that's
26 grand per student.
see,
Yeah, I was.
Mr.
doing
Jackson knows these numbers
I'm doing
better
it
than
in
I
my
do.
head. Come on. I got the two right.
High school kids are more expensive.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking for a comparative. I'm not
No,
looking
that's-
for an explanation of it. I'm just trying to
Right,
get
no,
my head wrapped around
I
it.
think
good
that's
question.
it's a good number to have.
I'd like to know
Be
what,
aware of- I-
what we spend in town.
We
per
knew
student.
them years ago,
Yeah.
but I think that it's a good time to get those numbers fine-tuned again.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to compare if one's significantly higher or lower,
Right.
but to
Yeah.
understand why. they're around
And
the
also
same.
where our building costs are carried by the town,
Sure.
so they don't get charged to the school.
Yeah, these aren't
budget,
apples
so-
for apples, because
Yeah,
we've got
it gets
we
a
got
little bit
special education costs that Techs don't necessarily carry the same type of burden for. They have building costs that our school department doesn't carry. So as long as everybody understands the caveats that those numbers aren't really a true comparison. They're also carrying healthcare costs, where our schools are not carrying healthcare costs. That's counted on the town side.
All that is calculated in, when you do, what is it, one of the end of the year report.
Yes.
You put the town costs into, they report town costs for
Yes.
schools.
So the schools,
And that goes into the.
net school spending and
That
that
school
sort of
spending
stuff.
and all that
Yes.
stuff. So
Yeah, but it doesn't show up in our budget book, as that's not going to be that differentiated. So it's not truly apples to apples, but there is a number.
Right, and I think it's important
Sure.
to have that number.
Tech is much higher.
But that's what I wanted to let folks know.
Okay, great.
Thank you for
very much.
giving me the time. I appreciate
Dr.
it.
Brand is obviously going to be calling you for that $4,500, right?
He might be.
Okay, do we have any other comments or business? No? Okay, so I'll just remind everybody, Thursday's meeting is going to be a lengthy one. We have Planning and Conservation, Builder Inspector, Board of Appeals, Board of Health, and Public Library. A couple of these meetings were rescheduled when we had a snow day last week. So two of them ended up on Thursday's meeting, so be prepared. But,
Just one on Thursdays.
Just one?
Yeah, just the library.
Oh, and then the historical,
The historic commission's on
went the next day, okay.
next week.
All right, and Recreation went tonight, okay. All right, so
We have good weather.
Yeah.
if anybody wants to
Motion to
put a
adjourn?
motion to adjourn,
Second.
second, all those in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank you,
night.
Eric.
Nice estimate.